Good evening and welcome to our final scheduled meeting of Budget Review. I am Mayor Motley Broom of the great city of College Park. We have a full quorum with council members Clay, Karn, Allen, and Gay present. It is 6:31 p.m. and we are going to get started with our incomparable city manager, Ms. Darnetta Tyus.
Did you say incomparable again? Just kidding. City Council. We are just delighted to present to you the last of 5 budget briefings organized by strategic goal. Gonna ask you all to make a couple of adjustments in the order. Gonna ask if you could indulge us and allow IT to go prior to the FAA, and then we'll go through the flow in your book. The other thing I want to announce is that HR is not present this evening, and so we'll review HR in our working session for the budget that will happen at the first meeting in May. So we intend to come back and do a final review at the working session at the first meeting in May. So without further ado, I'd like to bring to you IT. And thank you.
IT is set to weigh in.
Good evening, Mr. Hicks. How are you?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Councilman Clay, what digital page does the IT start on?
IT is on around 170,
Thank
somewhere
you.
around in there.
There we go.
169, actually.
Yes, sir. All right. So we have 3 pages in information technology. Questions on page 1?
First line, 5010. Mike, so how many people are in this budget and how many vacancies?
Okay, we've got 7 in the budget, and we've actually got 2 vacancies now because unfortunately my CCTV person has turned in his resignation, so we've got 2 now.
Really?
Yes.
He's only been here.
Yeah, it's
A few
relatively new,
months.
right?
Yeah, well, actually, he's actually been with College Park a number of years. He started out in public works, and then he went to power.
Right,
And
but
because
he's only been in that position.
IT, yeah, about 6-7 months.
Was that was the guy from, I thought he was from Public Works, the young guy, right?
No, I got, yes.
He's
He
gone?
was, yeah, he was with Public Works first, and then he went over to Power, and then he had the skills that we needed, particularly bucket truck experience, power experience, so we hired him. He's got a better opportunity, so he's moving on.
Was it a salary thing?
Yes, absolutely.
We gotta up these salaries.
Additional questions on page 1?
I have nothing on page 1. Excuse me.
Moving on to page 2. Questions on, well, page 3 is just totals.
Yeah.
So moving on to the budget level. Page 1 on the budget level.
I think most of my questions were with capital and what have you, and those have already been answered, so we've talked about that a bit.
Where is the nodes that we, like with Main Street, we've got, I know we were doing the Wi-Fi up and down Main Street, right? So is there money in the budget to expand that? Are we gonna be doing that elsewhere? And is money in the budget for that?
Yes, money in the budget to maintain what we have, not to expand it, but to maintain what we have. And that is from Rugby, and we're going all the way to John Wesley up near the State Farm agency and Corner Grill.
Yeah, and that's in the budget for $28,800 on packet page 2 at the right at the top, I believe.
I know
That's the circuit, right?
Yes.
you know, and we put a lot into our Main Street. It's very important that we do, but I want to see this kind of stuff expand to Old National Highway. I know we've been talking around Old National coming into the Main Street program as well, you know.
Right.
We got other parts of the city that need some of that state-of-the-art stuff and stuff as well.
Yeah, a lot of the foot traffic is on Main Street where the restaurants are located.
No, I get,
Right.
you know, and I get that's, I understand, it's definitely needed there, that's, you know, that's prime area, but we got other areas we need to look at.
Yeah, I think the key is stabilizing everything this year and then expanding next year to there, possibly God be in some other areas
Yeah.
as well, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, I'm good all the way.
All right, moving on to page 3. That's pretty straightforward there. And page 4, any questions about a van or IT week?
Okay, the only thing I had, we took out one of the items from the budget, and in fact, I don't even want to talk about it here. I think we ought to talk about it in executive session under cybersecurity.
Okay.
But I have a concern,
Okay.
potential concern about that. I haven't had a chance to talk to Michael about it, but, so I'm good tonight.
Do you want to connect with Madam City Manager and Mr. Hicks and the three of you?
Martin?
I was going to say, do you want to connect with Madam City Manager and Mr. Hicks and have that discussion to see?
Yeah, I'm going to do that offline with city
Understood.
manager
Yeah,
and-
I didn't mean right now. I just meant
Right.
that would happen.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
All right.
Right, I'm good for here.
So Mike, I guess who's gonna handle the cameras if a camera guy's gone?
Right. The company that handled them before I hired him. Yeah, I had a company that does that now. Before I hired AJ, the company called Net Planners, who we have a SLA, a service level agreement with. They know all of the cameras. They're the ones that docket all of the cameras. And so they will take care of it. Matter of fact, we've already been engaging them as we speak.
But your intent is to fill that position.
Absolutely, to fill it.
Because we never got the level of service that we've gotten since we've had our own. That was one of the best moves that
Right.
you made, Michael, to get a
sir.
CCTV person dedicated.
To bring that talent in-house.
Yep.
And I think we gotta keep talent in-house, keep contracting out stuff. And again, that reduces the accountability with these departments. City manager, so we lost that position. Did we compensate in the salary when we post this position so we can actually get someone that thinks the job is worth the time?
All future positions will be posted at the, at least at the minimum level of the comp plan, so it'll be higher than it was.
Okay, so we bumped that salary up, it's gonna be up.
Yes,
About how much ballpark?
I don't know that. It's associated with the comp plan.
Okay, but it's gonna come up to market rate, we think, or?
I cannot say that. Everything is going at a minimum up to comp plan.
Mike, what's your guess? Is it up enough to hire somebody that won't leave? Or hire someone that'll take that, the bump up in money? Is it enough? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, well, I'll get with Ms. Tyson and we can determine.
Great.
Okay, all right.
I think at some point, we need to have an executive session and talk, to the extent that we can cover it in executive session. I think we need to talk about overall issues, and this is not the time to do it. Right now, we're just trying to get everybody squared away across the organization as best we can.
Yes.
And keep in mind that we've got a whole lot of revenue that we've lost, and, you know, I keep bringing up the possibility of increased taxes and what have you. So before we go charging off, we need to get things leveled out, I think, personally.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Hearing no additional questions. we're now going to FAA, is that right?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Back to the beginning, is that the beginning?
Yes, yes, sir, that is the beginning of the digital packet.
Yep, there we are. Oh, there's a familiar face.
There he is.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Great. Questions on page 1 of the FAA budget
Yes,
worksheet?
yes, I've got a question on, I don't know, this may not be for, I'm not sure who this is for. Why does the revenue, the facility rental rate vary from year to year? I thought it was fixed.
I don't handle the income at all, expenses only.
That's why I say I didn't think it was for you.
Okay,
It's based on the contract that we have with the FAA. There is a fluctuation in the revenue from year to year, and it normally starts mid-year.
So it isn't the same each year?
No, sir.
It goes up gradually, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I think with the CPM or
CPI.
CPI increases.
okay, and then I had another question on that page. Line 5240, which is expense, telephone. Why we had, the amended budget was 16.5, and the actual was 17, and it's coming in at 24 now. Why are we seeing such great increase in telephone?
The telephone people tell us that they're charging more for the underground stuff that they put in years ago. And so we've been fighting with them, to be perfectly honest about it. And I said, I want the best possible deal for all our phones. And they said, well, we can put you on the city's deal, but the bill comes to me. And so that's how we left it. But I agree with you. There was some times we had some pretty heated conversations about that because it would fluctuate so much.
What's their excuse? Why are the charges?
They're saying that the cost of operations, that's what I'm hearing, the overall, their cost of people coming out and materials and, just about all the contractors got the same thing, but that's basically it. I feel like that since we did this deal with the city rates, I'm hoping that just happened, so I'm hoping that's going to come down. That's what I'm hoping. But
well, all I can say is that the 21 actual was 18,000, and now we're talking 24. So is this your estimate, Ron?
That's my estimate. Yes, it's my estimate. But I really believe it's pretty close. I really do. But I can assure you this. This is after a lot of times we had a lot of communication, a lot of talk. They're going to have to live up to that because I'm not going to do any more. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But, when I was disputing these charges, they wouldn't even talk to me, to be perfectly honest about it. And they would put me off or not return my calls. That don't fly with me. And so finally, I dropped your name. I said the City of College Park. This is the City of College Park building. Then they started talking to me. And then they said, yeah, we'll give you the same rates.
Well, maybe somebody from the City of College Park ought to talk to them.
I think we've got it pretty well handled at this point. I feel pretty comfortable.
Not at a 33% increase.
Well, that's what it is. It didn't just me. I think it's the way they said it. It's everybody. And so I have no reason to, I don't know how to.
I can tell you my phone bill hasn't gone up by 33%.
Well, I don't know.
I think with dwindling landlines, they're probably trying to stick it to those those companies probably more than individuals.
Maybe.
And we also have a lot of, I have a lot of dedicated lines there. It's just not a regular phone line.
But the bottom line is you haven't increased your number of lines or anything?
Yes, we have. Not a lot, but I think about 2. But But that's what we have. We have to do it because of the elevators and all the emergency stuff we have there. And that they charge, that's one of the things they was charging more in. Those are dedicated lines. Nobody can get on those. That's 24/7. And that's when they call me or whatever, we got a problem.
I'm an old telephone guy from my first career,
Yeah.
so.
You know, the thing about the phone is how they just really don't, I mean, they don't really want to talk about it, you know? It seemed like to me they just tell you one thing and we'll get back to you, and they never do. I don't like doing business like that. But I do know we got those dedicated lines. Those have to stay open. And so all I can tell you.
I know you have special needs.
Yeah.
There's no question about
And,
that, but it sounds like there
But
was.
I promise you this, I'll watch it. I'll watch it very carefully.
Yeah.
And because I'm kind of radared on that stuff.
Well, I am technical in the telephone area, believe me, that's what I used to do. I ran an R&D organization that designed telephone switching systems.
Wow.
So, okay, I'll be here again next year.
Okay. Hopefully I will too, so. But I think that's what's, we'll see what happens.
Any additional questions on page 1?
Yeah, same line with the telephone. I was out at the first net event that AT&T threw out over on Clipper Drive yesterday. I think I was the only individual from College Park there. There were a couple of Atlanta City Council members there for the display, and they put on explaining their process. And we have FirstNet through Verizon, but Ambrose, I told them to reach out to you because what they were talking about, it sounded pretty good to me, but I guess they're going to be reaching out to you. It was one fella and a young lady. And they said they were going to touch base with you, and I said usually the higher tech stuff. Yeah, but that FirstNet, they offer the emergency operations and whatnot, and I guess.
I think we need to loop Michael in.
Yeah,
on that.
Yeah, it was a pretty
And the
big.
city manager.
I'm willing to talk to him. But
Okay, yeah,
Michael has to be involved.
yeah. 5260. So heat and power. I understand. Hugh's not here. I know we went up in electric rates, but it looks like you're estimating a lower bill for 23.
Mm-hmm.
Did our rate increase apply to outfits, to our buildings?
Across the board.
Okay. So we're up in power rates, but you're predicting lower power usage.
And the reason for that is that we've only got about, right now, about 45% occupancy. When we had those other rates is when they were using overtime. There's not going to be any overtime for the FAA, and they have to pay us a little extra back. So there is no overtime. And as I look down the road, I don't see that in the cards. So that's why I cut it a little bit.
All right, that explains that. I was going to get into your building, I guess our building.
Yeah, your building.
And Ron, it's been, I guess it's been 5 years, right?
What's that?
It's been, since I saw you last. I guess
Yeah, I
5
think
years.
so.
Yeah.
I think so, John.
You look exactly the same.
Well, I think that's good. I'm all right with that. Yeah, it has been a while.
So when we last left off, we had expanded and renovated our building.
Yeah.
We increased your capacity of employees considerably. So I guess the question is, what happened that we're down to 45% occupancy, and where did all those people go that we did that big, great expansion for?
They went
Well,
home, right?
What is it?
They went home.
They went home. That's exactly right. The
COVID.
COVID, for 2 years, Joe, we didn't have anybody in the building, practically just the emergency folks. And but in our contract, at least that she was referring to, I have to maintain that. And they watch me like a hawk. And the heat has to be a certain way in every floor, everywhere. Housekeeping. In fact, I'm going to brag a little bit. Last time we had the inspection, we got 100%. But they check everything. And I don't care if there's 2 people there or 1,500 people there. That's just how it is. And you have to maintain certain temperature and that kind of thing. So The reason we got to 45 has nothing to do with us. They're just trying to figure out how to bring everybody back. And I understand that the unions, there's like 7 unions there, and they want people to, they're pitching to have them work 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday they want them off.
Okay,
Well,
in terms of their salary,
No, on
deals,
their,
or just where they location.
they want to work at home. That's what they want to work Monday, Friday. And I heard back from Washington, people I know, and they said that if they continue taking that position, that they're going to turn them into part-time, and they're going to lose their benefits. They want them to come back
They
Monday.
want them in the building.
They want them, yes. That's what that building there is for, and they want them to get back there and go to work.
Okay, well, ultimately, obviously, Washington's going to get their way. Being that this is our building, a 45% occupancy, that's concerning to me. So how's this going to play out? Are you going to fill back up? Is DC going to make
It's
it
going
back up or not?
to, well, that's a good question, actually. What's going to happen is they're going to give them a shot. It'll probably take the rest of the year, maybe more. And then they'll just say, listen, if you want your job, you got to get in here Monday and Friday too. And if not, you're part-time. And then they'll have to make decisions. Now, I've heard them talk about maybe bringing other government agencies in. But I want you to understand, even if there's only 5 people in that building, the deal still stays the same.
Understood.
And they still have to do it. So I really don't push too hard in that. They tell me to be informed of what's going on with them, but that's about how it affects me.
All right, so are there additional questions on page 1 of the budget?
I just have a general question, and I guess we cut back, you all cut back, people didn't report to work, and I don't know, people were pushing maintenance items off for a year or 2 years. You don't foresee anything coming up maintenance-wise that was pushed off for previous years that are going to come up and hit us this next year, do you?
Yes, I do. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, Ken. I do see some of that coming down the pike, and Thea and I are working on that. But yes, there is some. But I got to tell you, when we put that chillers in and we're getting ready, all this time I haven't received that tower, the glycol tower. I don't know if you remember it or not, but you voted on it and approved it a long time ago. We're just now getting it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just crazy out there. But we're going to have that. That's a big worry off. I have water towers. I'm going to have to exchange those or replace them, fairly soon. And there's other things. I'm not going to bore you with the list, but yes, to answer your question, it's coming down the pike. It is coming down the pike, and we'll deal with it. We'll get there. But I'm really thrilled for what you approved. The stuff is fantastic. The chillers are working great. You can't even hear them run, and that's really good.
We just need to know as much in advance
I
as
understand.
we can, and if you continue to work with Althea, the city manager,
I understand.
we're fine. I just want to make sure we don't get blindsided and all of a sudden we
no,
have this.
I keep you in the loop. I promise you do. I keep you in the loop.
I'm fine. Thank you.
The elevators are in, right?
The elevators are in.
Okay, now, it sounded like, in one sense, you're pretty much gutting the elevator?
Yeah, we're going to gut it because it's a Dover elevator, and when they were installed, I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but basically what happened is that they stopped making that type of elevator. And coming this January, I'm not going to be able to buy parts.
So are
Period.
you saying that you're going to take the old car
Yes,
apart,
yes,
take it out,
yep,
and basically replace the insides of the shaft? What,
yes, sir. And
cables, guides?
Yes.
Emergency brakes?
yes. And also, the state requires that we air condition that room. And now, in the big building, they're all air conditioned. But in this building, it's not. So some of those funds are for that. And we're going to put in, I think, a 3 to 5 ton unit, I forget, to cool that off. But that's state.
So you're talking about the motor room?
Yes, the motor room. That's exactly right. And but at least we be in compliance. But
Is that in here? Is all that in?
it's all in there. Oh yeah, it's all in there.
Okay.
And we'll be ready to go.
Ron, so if DC is actually gonna commingle you guys with non-FAA staff, and they're gonna do that probably?
I don't know that to be a fact. They just suggested that's what they may do to fill the building. I don't know. It could be Social Security, it could be anybody, and it could be nobody. But
Okay.
that, FAA is gonna have a big say in that. Now, I got my information from GSA, who is our tenant, and, you know, we got the space, they need to use it.
I was gonna
Mr.
say,
Wilkerson, is it-
one good thing about your contract is, one good thing for us is you're gonna pay the freight if you got 0 people in there. And the FAA, if they're anything like us, they wanna get their money's worth with it. They don't
Yeah.
wanna pay for an half-empty building.
Exactly right.
So I'd fill it up too.
Yeah, they need to, they've got the personnel to do it. They just gotta get them in. They're just used to staying home and they don't wanna break that mold. Well, they work for the government, so they're gonna have to, but that's another issue.
It is, and I want to make sure that we stay on the budget.
Yes, absolutely.
And so if you get updates on that, we can absolutely put you on a workshop session and we can have a great conversation about it.
Yeah.
But in regard to page 1 of the budget for the FAA, any additional questions?
No questions at all.
Moving on to page 2.
This drop here from the requested to the recommended, 7640. So, $400,000 drop, $450,000 drop. What is that?
Line 54, 7640.
7640.
Oh, it's capital, we dropped the $500,000, or is it $400,000? We just dropped it, and we're gonna do it, we're gonna renegotiate it, and let the government participate a little bit more in it. And, so we didn't postpone it forever, we just kind of kicked it down the road until we can get all the players together, and then let them come up with some of this money. And so I didn't want to present it like, no, we're not ready to present it. We need to talk with them and get a clear picture of what they're gonna do. And they need to do it. I mean, they need to step up. That's my opinion. And pay for that. That's why we took it on.
Okay, all right.
Additional questions on page 2?
No.
Moving on to budget level. Any questions on page 1 or 2?
I think I'm done, Mayor.
All right, moving on, we'll move on to capital outlay. Any questions on capital outlay?
Madam Debt, capital outlay is included just for information.
Right.
Is the 4.9 that you approved in,
I can barely,
I'm not
barely
sure,
hear you.
I'm not sure that microphone is working.
Yeah.
Testing,
There it
okay.
is.
The capital outlay is in there for your information. If you look at it, it's the 4.9, the details of the 4.9 that you approved and other things that were previously approved.
Already
There are
taken
no
care of.
personnel matters in this, so we're at economic development.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkerson. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, good to see you.
We are on to economic development. Good evening, Mr. Jones.
Evening.
Questions for Mr. Jones on page 1?
First line, same question. How many folks in this salary line, and does this line include the new development manager? Okay, so what is that, like what is that, eight people all in?
Four code enforcement officers, myself, Tasha, and Ms. Sabrina.
Okay.
Independent position.
All right.
Okay. Yours work, I think if you When you put the button. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, we're having some audio difficulties. Bear with us. Heard that.
Testing.
And let me pull this one up, Mr. Hammond. Okay, there you go. My apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. Appreciate it.
And I have one clarification to make, Councilman Karn. The 395,387 number, that includes 7 staff people. If you move down to new personnel costs, 515210, that's the new position, 55,798.
And that was my next line, but if someone else.
Yes, sir. That's a total of 8.
All right.
7 on the first line.
Well, I guess I go to 5210 since that was my next question. So this is for the new economic development manager position, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, it looks like you requested this position pay around $40,500, right? And
55,000.
the city manager bumped it up to another 15,000, is that right?
Yes, sir.
You felt like 40 was good? Is that what you?
No,
is that
I was
why
being
you
very
recommended that, or?
No, I was being very conservative at the beginning because in the past budgets, whenever I asked for certain amounts, it was always cut down. So I just started off with the amount that I felt that I could get approved.
You lowballed it, so she would bump you up, right? Okay, I hear you.
I'm not sure that's what he said, but
That sounds like that's what he said.
that's not what he said.
Well, he said
he said
usually
in years past,
when
he
you come
hadn't
in
gotten
high, well, I heard what he said. He said when he comes in high, generally the city manager cuts you down. So you figured to come in lower this time, and what do you know? She raised you up. Is that what I heard?
No.
No. Okay, I completely misunderstood.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
You
The thing
asked
is
for,
that I did not want the city council to take the position out altogether. I really need the position. I've needed the position for some time now, and I have been doing without.
Right. Oh, okay. Well, if you did it for us, I don't think we're going to take it out because it was 55 necessarily. But all right, that answers that question.
I got a question, 5280, it talks about other communications, utility, and there's nothing on the details, so I guess, what is that?
That's stormwater, sanitation spread across all
Oh, okay.
city hall departments.
Okay.
Any other questions on page 1?
5780, you all have grounds? Is that the railroad depot, or what is that?
That should not be. This is economic development budget.
Yeah, I was
It
just
says
curious.
code compliance, property
Yeah, it's-
maintenance,
yeah.
because it's new. It's
Okay,
added
yeah,
as
property,
new.
yes. Since we have code compliance, there are some properties that are in disrepair that need maintenance, and we've budgeted a certain amount of money whenever to address those properties, and that money is charged back to the property
Okay,
owners.
got it, okay, got it.
Additional questions on page 1? Hearing none, we'll move to page 2.
Yes, page 2, 526130, about in the middle of the page, miscellaneous services. It went from actual of 2021, about $3,000, and it's jumped up to almost $15,000.
Is that because of the inclusion of code compliance?
It is, and I'm just
You've got
trying to
car
figure out
maintenance in there
exactly
and
what it is
gas.
specifically. 6130.
Car maintenance, gas, and the Old National Merchants Association facade grant.
Yes, the code compliance yes, car maintenance, that's for the code compliance vehicles that we have, 3 vehicles.
That's a
And
miscellaneous service?
I'm sorry, did I?
I'm talking about
Wait, I may have steered you in the
line
wrong direction.
526130,
yes, sir.
miscellaneous service.
Yes.
In 2021 was just short of $3,000,
Yes,
and it is now being put forward by Artie as $30,000 and it was cut to $15,000.
Yes, sir.
So it's kind of jumping all over the place. What is it?
The thing about it is this particular line item did not have the maintenance for the code compliance vehicles. That was in the police department. So we added that to the budget for this upcoming
And
year.
that's where you stuck it.
Yes, sir.
It will be reclassed once the account is added. He's basically saying he does not have the account repair and maintenance vehicles.
Yes,
So
sir.
He does what?
He does not have the account repair and maintenance vehicles, so he placed it under miscellaneous services.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so-
That's why I was confused.
Once the account is added, we'll move it.
Okay, okay. That's good.
Additional questions on page 2.
Just a second. There was I know the former council member over in East Point, I understood, had a program that we were considering budgeting in. It was some landscaping, home repair stuff. And Tasha, that's what I called you to ask you about, if that was in the budget. He talked to me about it, I don't know, it was a couple of months ago, and I thought it was a good project for our seniors, program. Is that in here?
No, sir. I currently have a line item for property maintenance under code compliance, but I did not speak with him in time as far as to allocate any funding from this budget directly to that.
Well, I thought it was something that we wanted to do. I know, so it's a line item, you say?
I have an existing line item from when police had code compliance, in which Artie referenced that we do our property maintenance through, and then a tax lien is placed, but I did not have a line item for community property maintenance set.
Okay, so where's that line item? It's not, you don't, you're saying you have a line item, but it's not in this budget, it's in the police budget, or you don't have one at all?
Give me one moment, I'll reference it. to
It's 525780.
Correct.
It's at the bottom of page 1.
Which one is it?
525780.
52, 57. 52. Okay, I see it. Okay, I see $3,600. That's what it is?
That is what I had budgeted for this year. As I stated, I haven't spoken with the gentleman in time for budget preparation.
Okay. He talked to me about a thing for senior services for some minor repairs, and I thought it was a good idea. And I know he talked to some of the other council members. I thought we kind of thought we wanted to take a look at it and put it in, or maybe we didn't. So.
Any additional questions?
I thought that was something we might want to do this year, but is it just it's something you didn't want to bring up? You wanted to wait until next year? What was it? You didn't want it to happen, or I thought it was something that.
If I could graciously remind the council that the instruction that I gave our team as we were preparing this budget, that we were doing a budget of stabilization. So there are probably many new thoughts and ideas that did not make it into this budget.
All right. Is that going on the list for consideration for additional
If you
budget
request that it goes on the list, we will add it to the list.
I certainly do. I think our seniors would appreciate something like that if we can figure out how we could make the program work. I think it's something we ought to look at. So I'd like to add that to the list.
Additional questions for economic development? We'll move on to the budget level, page 1 on the budget level. Page 2. Page 3. And page 4 is totals. So we'll keep on moving. Main Street. Questions on page 1?
So this is one salary here.
Yes, just the Main Street manager.
Okay.
I noticed that the heat and the water are going up, is that because, is that at the train station, or is that just, again, general, because it's going up everywhere?
It's probably general because it's going up everywhere, but that was something that was calculated through the finance department.
Okay, so this increase in that salary, that's reflective of the potential bumps, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Additional questions on page 1? Moving on to page 2.
Yeah, I have a question on page 2, 526170 up near the top, contractual services, and it was 40,000 in 21. It was, and that went to 125,000 was suggested, and then it was cut to 67 and a half. What was removed to swing that down? What contractual services were being reduced?
Okay, the trees on Main Street, they require 2 trimmings each year. I asked Renee before she left to go in and renegotiate to tell us what we could do with a reduced amount of money, and I set aside a certain amount of money for that tree trimming to reduce it, and she told me exactly what could be done, and I said, well, we'll move forward with that, and then on the next year we will trim other trees. But we try to trim the trees so that there's no shadows, so that as people are walking, they can see clearly over to the MARTA station.
Right, I remember that discussion.
And then we have those trees, those lights that light up to provide more sense of security. So that was one area. Another area too is that the train depot has lights on it at the top. Those lights have not worked for many, many, many years. We wanted to replace those lights. It was going to cost us in the neighborhood of about $4,000 to fix the lights, but it was going to cost us about $10,000 to get new lights. And then we had Christmas decorations to replace the old decorations. What I've done is I've pretty much cut the decorations down to 25% of what I originally asked for the depot. And as far as the lights are concerned, I was just going back in to repair the lights versus replacing the lights, which was a considerable lesser amount.
Artie, is that something that, instead of contracting it out, is that something our power people could do?
I was going to ask the same question.
Well, the thing is that, and I'm not saying that our power department put the lights up in the first place, but whoever put the lights up that are on the depot right now, they put staples through them, and that damaged the lights, and that's why they're not working right now. So we would want to have a professional to put them up there so that if they stopped working, we would have some assurance that they would come back and fix them. Right now, because they were put up the wrong way, and this had happened when Iris was the Main Street manager, they worked fine for us initially, but then over the years, they did not work, and we tried to patch it up and fix it from time to time with no success. It may be something that the power department can do, but it was just, I'm thinking it's probably be just as expensive if the power department did it also.
Well, I wouldn't be so sure about that. I was going to ask the same, well, not the exact same, but a similar question. The tree trimming, those trees along Main aren't that tall. And I've said to myself, is that something that the power department with Public Works can do? Again, talking to the different departments. I mean, we got bucket trucks, and they're not huge trees like the company that cuts the trees off the street for power. This is the type of stuff where I think when we communicate a little more department to department, maybe we can find some savings. I'm pretty sure the power department can wire some lights up correctly without stapling inside of the conduit of the sleeve of the wiring. I think they can handle that. I mean, I'm not an electrician, but one good way to find out is talk to the department heads and ask them. city manager, this is the type of stuff we're looking for in terms of savings, to see if there is any savings, to see what we can save. The tree trimming, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look and talk with Power and see if we can save some money, if they can light up a few lights underneath the Main Street, the depot. So let's take a look at that.
Any other questions?
I don't think so. I don't have any more on that, on economic development.
Okay. Any questions on the budget level pages?
Okay, we got a landscaping contract, page 1 of 3. Is that the same? 6170. Is that the same thing we were? No, that was.
No, that's different.
That's
That's the
different. What is
landscaping
that?
from Main Street all the way down, almost up to East Point line.
All right, and same question, I guess, more or less. I see the landscapers go up and down, and I see what they do, and it looks good up and down there, but it doesn't seem like it's anything too advanced or hard that Public Works possibly couldn't do. Maybe even if they had another individual or something. You know, I mean, it just makes sense to look at this kind of stuff and see if we can cut that contract out with a couple of part-timers or something.
I don't think that you can get 2 part-time people for $30,000 a year to do landscape work.
Well, let's
Including
see,
materials.
I would say let's see what we can do. And if it makes sense, if it's something that maybe we can handle and save that contract and that the staff could do it. I would much rather see staff do things as opposed to us contracting everything out every time we have something. Specialty items, I get. But if we're budgeting, let's look at budgeting and figure, well, you know, they're throwing straw, they're trimming, you know, this is simple stuff. This is stuff that I don't think that we can't do. So,
Artie.
Totally understand. And
am I reaching for the stars here? Or?
not really. Given that,
All right, well, let's
given that the city is short-staffed all over, I'm thinking it'd be difficult, next to impossible, to get somebody that would be affordable to be able to do this. Now, we can go out and try to get someone to do it, but if you look at the city overall and 60 to 70, 80 people short, and we're trying to get someone to do.
I get what you're saying, but it's not impossible because we're about to staff up and we're going to start paying the city employees what they need to get this stuff done.
If I could offer that at the point where we put it on the list and say we'll look at it, I just would want the council to be open to us finding that we might be doing it the most efficient way to have it done. We have put it on the list. At the point where you say it, I am putting it on the list, and we're going to take a practical look at it. And if we find that we're doing something that actually makes sense, not just pure money, but in terms of the kinds of materials, the services, given the quality of work that we're looking for, we will come back to you and say, we looked at it and we still think this is the most practical way to do it. So we put it on the list the first time you said it, and just for council, as you're saying it, we're taking the list. You know, we got it. I got that the first time you said it.
All right.
Additional questions in economic development? Hearing none, we're moving on to BIDA. Questions on page 1.
And as we do BIDA, I'm going to note that Artie and I went through BIDA's budget, and there are a couple of things that we realized we omitted, and Artie will talk about the details of them, like training and some conferences and some mandatory training that they have to have that we will add to the list as well for consideration of putting in.
Okay.
So,
Questions on page 1? Or any additions on page 1 based upon what you just said, Ms. Tice?
Well, I don't know where it would be, but based on what you just said, where would that, is there an approximate total amount that you're looking at putting back in?
There's two items that we were looking at adding to. Development Authority training. These Development Authority trainings cost right about $250 a piece. They are virtual and some of them are in person. They're 1 day in length.
Okay, so this is small stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
It's very small stuff. And then there was also GIDA Conference, Georgia Economic Development Association Conference in Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
We're looking at adding 7 participants. There's 7 BIDA board members. All BIDA board members do not attend. In the past, I have not attended most of the time. But we looked at 7 times $1,500 per person.
Is this something that they normally would do?
Yes.
Every year?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I certainly want them to do it this year. And not just because I got a new member, I see Miss Lisa out here, but also because we're getting into a pretty serious round of development this year. I guess this is going to be a big development year, so I want them to know as much as they're supposed to know for this stuff. So I'd like to see that back in there.
So you're looking at an addition, both of those line items being about $15,000 total to the budget.
Okay. Any questions on page 1?
Ms. Tice, that's gonna on the list, right?
We offered it to you. Yes, it is.
All right.
Yes, it is.
Any questions on page 1? Moving on to page 2.
Nothing on 2.
I've got nothing.
Okay. And page 3 is totals. Moving on to the
I know we do the annual thing in December. Are we still doing that? And did we budget for it?
No, we did not budget for
Okay, my mic is out again, but that is not included in the budget, keeping in mind a stabilization budget.
Well, you know, that's one that we do for the businesses to show we appreciate them. And I want us to consider a scaled-down version of it because businesses, you know, it's been a rough 2 years for everybody, but the businesses as well. And if there's something that we can do, a smaller version of it, I'd like to see us still do that type of stuff.
There is a very scaled down version of it included in this budget.
Okay, well, that's good to know. So we're gonna do something.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any budget level questions? There's basically 1 page of budget level. Oops, sorry, there's actually more than that. There's 4 pages.
What page are you on?
I was saying that there was 1 page of budget level, but there's actually 4.
Oh, okay.
Page 2 kind of threw me off because it's very short. But questions on page 1 of 4 on the budget level. Page 2 is totals, so moving on to page 3
Oh, the budget?
Yeah,
on the budget level.
page 3, bottom of it, 58, 1100, APM refinance. We got the one hotel coming up. Was it gonna be 2 coming up on the site, or was it just the one I see?
It's a dual brand hotel, so it's 2 hotels in one. It's a True and then Home 2 Suites.
So I'm assuming y'all negotiated their fair share and divvied it back up amongst the hotels in terms of their APM payments, that they
Yes, they
contribution.
will be paying their share, and then we'll have another hotel coming out of the ground in June.
So is this factoring for the 2 hotels upcoming, or this is just for
No,
what we got right
It
now?
is not.
Okay, so
That's
we'll
the
have-
debt, that's debt service.
Okay, right. But what I'm saying is, I guess, the more hotels that buy in and put in their contribution,
The less our
this
cost.
gets better,
Yeah,
right?
hopefully.
Yeah,
Yes.
amen. All right, okay. So it's not factored in?
No, sir.
Okay, well, that's good.
I got a question on page 3 if we're there yet.
Yes, sir, that's where we are.
Question on page 3, we talked about the land bank, Fulton County Land Bank, and I know it's not in here. If we did go with Fulton County Land Bank, we're talking about $100,000 a year. And over 10 years, that'd be $1 million. Where would that go? Would that go into 6210? If we had to put it in there, that'd be an additional 100,000? Because you got the Clayton County Land Bank there for, you know,
Yes,
like
that's
you
where
said,
it would go.
2,500. It would have to go in there, and that would adjust that budget. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel that if the Land Bank Authority moves forward, that would probably be sometime in the late fall, possibly, or early spring, or early winter, when they would actually move forward with it. And if they did move forward at that point, it would be prorated. It would not be for an entire year. So I think we're safe to say that we don't have to worry about it for 6 to 9 months.
Okay, that was my question. Throw another 100,000 on this budget here would be kind of tough. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Additional questions on page 3. Moving on to page 4. Hearing none, we'll move on to the tab.
I have nothing on the tab.
All right. Moving on to legislative. On the org chart, our executive assistant reports to none of us. She reports to the city manager. So, but thank you, Mr. Jones. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So are we on page 1 now, Mayor?
Yes, sir, we are.
Line 52, 5280, other communications. What is that? I don't think you're going to find it in the detail.
That's not, the, other
I
communications?
think that's part of,
That was the same thing I
Yeah.
asked before.
yeah, I think it was,
Yeah.
right.
I'm sorry, guys, which line are you on?
Sorry, Councilman Allen and I,
52.
we didn't complete sentences, but I think we understood what we were saying.
5280, other
5280.
Other communication utilities.
So what?
Yes, that's
That's
the
the same thing.
stormwater sanitation spread across all city hall departments. That's an auto-generated bill by the customer service department.
Okay. All right, fine.
Additional questions on page 1. Additional questions on page 1? Hearing none, we'll move to page 2.
I got a question. You have down here 7185 discretionary allowance for mayor. I
I
think
don't think
that
I'm supposed to
probably
be there.
should be in administration.
Yeah, I think that's why it's
It
zeroed
is.
out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that should be moved over. Okay.
There's no.
And under miscellaneous service, you have $2,000, and then when we talk about it here, 6130, that's for,
What line are you on, Ken?
526130 miscellaneous services. It
yeah, and
breaks
you
down
break
as
it down, it's got dog tags, flowers, and staff breakfast, and you only got $1,000 for staff breakfasts, I think.
Yes, that's just for city hall staff. We do an annual Christmas breakfast in the break room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
you wanted more chicken biscuits for him, right?
I would think you probably need to have several of those during the year, but that's,
Do we still have the employees Christmas appreciation deal? I don't know if that'd be in here, but are we still doing that at the convention center? I guess Mercedes, I guess you know more.
We did not do it in 2021. Instead, we gave the employees an incentive of $1,000 for full-time employees and $500 for part-time.
So are we doing the Christmas thing?
There is an
appreciation?
event, there is a small scale event in the HR budget,
Okay.
which we're going to brief on at the beginning of the budget work session on May 1st.
All right. Other questions on page 2?
Page 2, yeah. this is where my ox gets scored. I haven't been, I think many people are aware, I'm on a couple of FAA committees. I'm on an advisory board for research that meets twice a year, and I'm on the Aviation Rulemaking Advisory Committee. And as such, I go in normal times, not that we've had normal times lately, but in normal times, I would be going to Washington about 6 times a year for ARAC and Ascent. And I also go to the noise symposium. Now, sometimes some of the other council
I do
people have
as
gone to
well.
that. Joe goes to that, and I think Councilman Gay went to that one year. And then in addition to that, I don't go to 2 NLC meetings. I only go to 1. I don't go to anything but 1 GMA meeting. But as you can see, there's 4 and 2 is 6 and 3 is 9. So I can tell you that $5,000 isn't going to cover going to all those meetings. Right now, I am the only community member of the Aviation Rulemaking Committee for the United States, and I am on the Ascent Committee representing noise as well as us and what have you.
I know, and Ambrose, I'm fine with that. I know you do some traveling. I do a bit as well. I got a couple of invites up to DC actually in the last couple of months. And I know what we used to do is, you know, some of us traveled, some of us didn't. And we had a shared pool, and that worked pretty good most of the time, because I remember Chuck didn't travel much, and somebody traveled a bit. I think Tracy didn't travel that much. And it, you know, when we needed to go, obviously came before the body. But yeah, I think you know,
Well,
can we still do a shared, like if someone's not traveling,
they can take some of my money
something along those lines. And I wondered about that because
if needed. Yes.
yeah, I think we need to make it a shared pool again. If you know, like I said, it comes up before the body if we got to do something. I did the YEO conventions every year, and I guess since I've been off, I guess that hadn't been in there, but I expect that. I got the invitation to DC for Katani Brown's thing, you know, but you know, so yeah, it's some stuff I'd like to do as well.
I think if we get to that point, you can
Yeah.
look at some of my discretionary money or some of my meetings and travel, because I'm not going to be going to that many except around the Atlanta area. So I think we can adjust mine.
Cross
make
that
up
bridge
for
when we
this.
get to it.
So we basically bring it up as it comes along. I
Yes.
think.
I concur. For control purposes, I concur.
Yeah, because otherwise, well, yeah, some of these meetings I've been able to skip because, well, I've been able to skip all of them because we've been able to do them virtually. And the last meeting, the last research meeting was a week or 2 ago. I reported on that. And we had the option that we could attend that one virtually. And you get an awful lot of information over dinner, coffee break, and so forth, which you just can't get on a Zoom meeting, unfortunately. So, but I did come back with something anyhow, or come down with something. Okay, I've got another one on there. Contractual services. What is that? It's kind of varied around a number of numbers. What's in contractual services these days?
Warren Bond Photography Services. We had Linda, the stenographer, in that. I'm over here, Councilman Clay.
It's line 6170.
The recall storage, that's our off-site storage housing. So all the, over here,
I can't quite understand
over
you.
here.
I can't understand you either.
Recall storage, that's where we store our off-site storage documents for anything that we can't keep in City Hall.
Uh-huh.
And the other one is just the printing for the photos that Warren Bond gives us, so.
Okay, so is that enough? We spent, what, 57,000 in 2021, and we're down to 53, so. Are we gonna meet, is that enough money to do what we need to do, Chevelle?
It is.
Okay. And then the other one's for you, the election expense. So why did you put in for 70,000 and it got dropped to 20?
I initially thought that we were gonna have the mayor election in Ward 1 and 3, but that's gonna be in the later part of that fiscal year, so we didn't need it in the beginning part of it.
It's in the next,
Yeah, that's not
yeah.
in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So that was, okay. That's all I had.
Other questions on page 2? Moving on to page 3.
I have a question about new citizens packets. What are new citizen packets?
When they get their utility services, they get a welcome packet from them, basically, with information for the city.
Okay.
Any other questions on those 3 pages? Okay, moving on to budget level. Page 1.
Yeah, I have a question on page 1, right in the middle, 52, 55, 10, ethics hearing officer under consulting fees. And I see it here, but I didn't see it carried forward into the regular budget.
Oh, it's there.
Maybe I missed it somehow, but
It's there.
52, 55, 10.
It's under consulting fees.
So you've got, pardon?
It's under consulting fees
No,
in the
I'm-
regular budget.
On the line item that you
52,
just reviewed?
55, 10.
Which page?
Two
Two
of
of
three.
Page 2 of 3.
55, 10.
Oh, there it is, yep.
Okay, it's under, okay. I just missed it.
Additional questions on page 1 of the, excuse me, page 1 of the budget level. Moving on to page 2. Page 3.
Page 2. One of the things I was gonna ask about were, 6130 flowers. Give an example, I don't know if everyone heard about Mary Sheffield, and we have constituents and things that happen and whatever have you, and I said to myself, well, in Fulton County, we kind of had a budget for stuff like that. And I see we have a little something here, but obviously that's not enough to really cover very much. So I'd like to see us increase that, if possible. I think that's certainly something that we're going to use, that I would be using, I know somewhat.
Is that something we can legally do out of our discretionary?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's for an individual, but yet it's available to all citizens.
Well,
Right.
if that type of thing would come out of discretionary, I want to increase in discretionary for that, because I do want, I've seen that, and that does do a lot of good things in terms of relationships and just good community relations overall. So I'd like to see, I want to increase in that one way or another, because I think that type of stuff pays off dividends. So I'd like to increase that. City manager? So is that?
I wrote it on the
All right.
note when you
Got
said it.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna note that I'll also tell you, as we're doing things that establish public precedents, you gotta know how you monitor it. You gotta know how you manage something. So right now, that's not a public event or element. So it's kind of controlled and maintained. So at the point where you open it up to the public, just know we got 15,000 residents. And as we figure out how you budget for that, it has to be important.
Understood, and it's something, I agree, but I want to look at some more funding for that, and then we figure out, you know, how we administer it, but I'd like to see more there for that type of stuff.
Okay, it'll be a requirement that we figure out administration as we figure out budgets. I will not allow them to budget something that we cannot administer.
All right,
So
well,
just note.
Well, let me know what you come up with.
Additional questions on page 2? Moving to page 3. Page 4. Moving on to financial administration.
I have nothing on 1.
Can I just I just like to mention something. I was reading, and Chauvet had mentioned that they responded to 2,000 plus open records requests. That's an awful lot of requests.
Sure is.
You can do 38 a week, or you can do 8 a day that they have to respond to. So, to your staff, if you can get it done with the amount of money, thanks very much. I know it's a lot of your time, so thank you.
We're fielding that many open records requests?
Yes, actually more, but yes.
What, I've never,
They love us here.
we've never had that kind of,
Has it increased a lot, Shabela?
I think it's because we have the portal and you can just go online now and put a request in versus coming to City Hall, filling out a document and waiting for the turnaround time. Now they can get it via email without even having to come to the office.
How much research? Does that take an awful lot of research, your staff?
It depends on the department.
Are we getting adequately compensated for the time that we're having to spend on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
is it still the 25 cents a page?
No, it's 10 cents a page. The first 10 pages are free.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. Okay,
Mr.
sorry.
Lord Bradley, Mr. Latona, good evening. Questions on page 1 of financial administration?
All right, so, is it just the four people in this salary line?
5010 is, reflects 3 salaries.
It's 3? Okay, and the tax clerk, the new tax clerk salary, that's not in this line, right?
No, sir, it's
Okay.
under new personnel costs.
Okay, right.
Additional questions on page 1?
Can you get somebody good for a tax clerk at 43,000? Can you?
We're going to try.
Okay, I just didn't know if that salary was.
Yeah, and I thought that was something that was sorely needed, and I'm glad to see it's in here.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other questions on page 1?
No.
Moving to page 2.
Yes, line 526170, contractual services. We spent almost 15,000 on it. We've got it in for 5,000. There's no breakdown below the 5,000 in the details. So, what is that?
That's primarily temp services. We have a vacant position, so for temp services, we charge it to that line.
Okay, so but the intent is to fill that position, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Which one of these, is it 4 or 3 that there's a vacancy in?
The budget analyst.
That's upstairs with you, right?
Yes, sir.
Additional questions on page 2. Page 3 has totals. We'll move on to the budget level. Questions on page 1 of 2? Page 2 of 2. All right, accounting. Page 1. Thank you, Mr. Latona. Good evening. Page 1. Page 2.
Contractual services.
Yep, that was my question as well.
Excuse me, 6170.
Is that temps again?
Yes, sir.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
Temp.
Okay, okay.
I have a question on the line right before that. 526130, miscellaneous.
Access storage fees?
Yeah, it's access storage fee. I don't know what access storage is.
Is that offsite storage?
Is that same storage you were talking about, Shabela?
Yes.
Why is it in here twice then?
That's in finance budget. We allocate, every department has to allocate within their budgets.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, good. I'm done on 2.
Okay, any other questions on page 2? All right, moving on to budget level, page 1. Page 2.
Is everybody got page 1 of 2? The training, did you get all the training that you asked for? Line
Yes.
6200?
Yes, we did.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Any other questions for that department? Moving to purchasing. I've got a question on page 1, but I think I know the answer. Well, I don't.
I have a question about miscellaneous
52,
services.
yep, 526130. You and I both.
Okay.
Good evening.
Evening.
So line 526130, miscellaneous services. I don't think it has a detail on it.
Maybe that's the same
There-
thing.
Yeah, there is no detail. That's just for miscellaneous expenses that may occur throughout the years. Budget is so thin.
Oh, okay, so it really is just
Miscellaneous
miscellaneous
services,
services.
yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on page 1?
Like just contingency there.
Moving to page 2. Which is pretty darn straightforward. Moving to the budget level, page 1. Page 2. All right, hearing none, we'll move on to not human resources.
We're not doing HR.
We're not doing HR.
I think might be done.
Are we done?
For IT, we did.
Really? Because if Councilman Clay told me we were done, I was ready to walk out.
If we could do public information, we're in a good
What
place.
Where is that? Is that after IT?
It is after IT.
It's after IT.
Oh, that's why.
It is on page 191 of the digital.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay. We have 3 more sections that I bet you can get done in 9 minutes.
Don't, yeah, I don't know.
I tried.
Page 1 of public information.
Same question. So this is this 2 salaries only or 3?
It's 3.
This is 3?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're which one are you?
Communication specialist.
Okay. Do we have, I know the director's gone, but do we have the media editor?
No, it's just me.
Okay. So we got to fill 2 positions there.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
But you do a darn good job, don't you?
Thank you. I try.
Additional questions on page 1. Moving to page 2. Page 1 of the budget level. Page 2 of the budget level.
Back to page 1, this marketing and communication, 6170. Is that mostly just, is there some, where's the detail on all of that? Where would I find that?
That is the detail.
That's it? 40? Yeah, what is all of 47, 250?
Marketing and communications, that's phase 3, our PR firm.
So we got that contracted out?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Additional questions on page 1?
Citywide marketing, what is?
That's a shared line between communications and economic development for advertising and commercials and communications for the city.
Okay.
Any other questions on page 1?
No.
Moving to page 2.
We're speaking of that citywide marketing. I didn't see that up here in the regular piece here. Or maybe I missed it, but
It's a breakdown. It's part of 526170. So it's on the breakdown.
526170.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I see it. That was part of that. I guess my general question is, when we still put stuff in the magazines, the Georgia Trend, and all that same stuff.
Yeah, that's what that's for.
Okay. I just, I guess with 6 West coming in, are we kind of stepping that up in particularly or doing something different to kind of attract more folks in here than we normally would do in a normal year where we don't have $1 billion+ development going on, or?
Yes. We're using that portion to advertise for 6 West and upcoming games with Skyhawks, the Dream. Yeah, all that's coming out of that budget.
Well, I'm just asking, particularly this year, if it's the same amount of funding that we normally get every year, or did we? I mean, is it a consideration for us? We got a lot of land we're trying to sell. We got a lot. We want to attract more attention than a normal year. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Right. Yes.
So we've increased it from previous years.
Yes, we've increased it.
All right. Okay.
Any other questions for public information?
No.
All right, moving on to multi-departmental. It's 1 page, and then there's budget level, so questions on both of those?
Not at all.
Nope.
Okay, this is the general fund, right?
We were on multi-departmental
Sorry.
costs.
Okay.
But if there's no questions there, we will move on to the general fund. And general fund revenues, page 1.
I've got a couple questions on that one. First page, third line down, 311110. Flight equipment tax. Now, I keep reading in Wall Street that they're cutting out more flights, presumably reducing aircraft, et cetera, et cetera. Is the revenue prediction that we have in the recommended of 2.6 billion, is that still a good number in light of what the airlines are doing, cutting back flights?
I'll let Philip explain more in detail, but this year we did recognize a loss of revenue based when it's compared to fiscal year 2021 revenue of $2.8 million, because from my understanding, there were some planes taken out of service.
Right, MD-80s.
They reduced their fleet, and in addition, plane hours were reduced for 2020. So the fiscal year 2022 budget reflects the plane hours for 2020, which is the year COVID hit.
Okay, so you think this is a realistic projection?
We would know more come June when the preliminary numbers come out. So we're going to wait until then and then
Well, that's a good
come back
idea.
before the council.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
because we
you
see
should
what
have a
happens
good-
with summer travel.
A good idea, yeah.
And I had another one on mixed drink tax, 3140-200. We have, it's just the reverse with that one. We already have hit 401, and we're at 425. Is that enough?
Just being conservative in some areas, just to make sure that it might be high this year, but it fluctuates. So we're just being a little conservative there.
Okay, so you're being a little bit conservative. That's
Yeah.
fine. I'd rather be conservative than over-optimistic. Okay, good. Oh, wait a minute. One more. Yeah, I guess I'm going to make a political comment, unfortunately. The last line, 35-1000, fines and forfeiture. Does that include things like traffic fines?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, the way people are driving around here, it may be time to say that what we've always said the opposite of in the past, that our police weren't out to make money off our fines. And we weren't the shady little town along the interstate or along the back roads, and they tried to surprise you with the cop behind the billboard. Remember that? Well, I'm beginning to wonder, and I'm partly kidding, but I'm also partly serious. We've got guys speeding, running stop signs in the city, and thanks to putting the speed humps in, that's helped. That has really helped. But I'm beginning to wonder, are we going too easy on our fines? I just throw that out to the council.
The speed humps are good in terms of public safety, but they're not a replacement for the lack of police officers and patrol cars, and hopefully we're going to be resolving that. And
I saw 2 giving tickets the other day, so things are looking up, so.
But
I
we on
just
page
throw
2?
that out. I don't expect anybody to answer that. But I'm just saying, it's going through my mind.
Understood, sir.
I mean,
Councilman Allen?
there's a
I
lot
got
of speeding.
3102, multifamily inspection fees.
That was a question on that.
The actual amount for 2022 is like 4,000, at the point, 5%. And it was recommended 55 and 35. What is multifamily inspection fees, and Why
That's a
is it-
service conducted by the inspections department. Prior to 2021, we were collecting
We
up
didn't
to
have
like
any, okay.
$85,000 worth of inspection fees. So I believe they're picking that back up with the new services that we contracted through. There's an expense for that service as well as the revenue to cover that service.
Okay.
So does that mean we're gonna be doing less inspections from 55,000 requested to 35,000 worth of inspections?
No,
No. So what does that mean?
it'll be more than 2022 actual amount, which is only 4,000.
Right.
We
But
took it down a little.
absolutely won't get up to 55,000 worth.
We hope it does, but
Well, I guess the right question to ask is, how do we get back up to 85,000?
we have to conduct more inspections and collect the fees.
And getting to 35, so,
So we're predicting we'll do less inspections.
no, it's more than we had previously done, but not as much as they had projected.
Okay, got
We
it.
made that more realistic in terms of what we actually budgeted.
It sounds like it's a conservative
Yes.
Correct.
All right.
projection.
Couple of things I didn't see, I don't know. Phil, where's the jet fuel tax? Those lovely $5 and $6 million tanks that we discovered out there years back.
It is that's in the ad valorem line,
That's Avalon. Okay.
because that falls under personal property.
Does that, I guess, and that's commensurate with jet fuel increases and the ebb and flow? Okay, so we follow that pretty well. Ambrose touched on the mixed drink tax line.
31,
4200.
4,200.
4,200, 4,210. And I guess my question is, obviously we got more restaurants, they're opening back up, so I'd imagine there's a whole lot more action there. Hotels are still coming back pretty good. I've known year in and year out that, that report is just basically an honor system with those outfits. And, some of them, they're gonna report whatever they want to report at the end of the day. So I think we're missing out on a whole lot of mixed drink tax because we don't go in there and routinely inspect them or audit them. And I think we need to start doing that, basically, because I'm sure we're missing out on a whole lot of money. They just submit whatever they want to tell us. We don't know how much they're actually pouring.
I thought we had an audit firm that checked that. Periodic, went through and did periodic audits.
Well,
No, whatever they report, that's what we go off of.
Well, who was it that did an audit? I thought we had someone that did an audit of the liquor wholesalers as to how much they had sold to the restaurants.
I believe that was Ms. Ames.
Yeah, we only found one restaurant that was not properly
Pardon?
reporting. One restaurant did not report properly with that audit.
Okay, so we do some auditing, but we aren't auditing. But didn't at one time we had someone go through and not every restaurant, but like from year to year, check different restaurants, actually pull the books and audit the books?
No, not since I've been here.
yeah, and yeah, Ambrose, proper reporting is one thing. I'm sure they're going to report properly, but again, it's up to them to put in there how much they're actually pouring. So they may send you a properly formatted report, but whether or not they're pouring that much alcohol or not, it's up to them. They can say, well, I'm not only pouring this much, and it's pretty much, well, we just take your word for it and
Well,
pay
if
what
you
you
have
want.
the record from the wholesaler that unless they're illegally buying from, and that's another thing that we've caught, unless they're illegally buying, they're buying it from a wholesaler. And we do get the reports from the wholesalers, I thought.
if we.
So we know how much liquor, correct me if I'm wrong, Shabela, we know how much liquor was sold to a particular restaurant or bar, whatever. We don't have bars per se, but
Yes, we do.
we do.
Mhm.
Okay, so if we know how much was sold to them, we know how much they poured. Now, you don't know how much they charged for what they poured, but you can have a pretty darn good guess
And that sounds like a great plan. Who on earth is doing that or checking that? And do we get monthly wholesale reports from
We
the
do.
liquor distributors?
We do.
We do.
Okay, so I'm assuming someone's checking that every month, and like he said, checking those tables against one another to see if it trues up.
We
or-
process their reports. We don't do audits every month.
Well, I think, and I don't think we should start doing it every month, but it's springtime. We're open back up. There are a lot of other outfits pouring like crazy, and like y'all have done some real stuff that I kind of scratching my head about. You can have beer in the barber shop and the nail shop and everything else, and I know that's the complimentary stuff, but still, I think we need to. I want to look and see if they're reporting everything they're pouring. So I don't know how we look at that, but I'd like to look at that. You know, once you get your new people on, you got some other folks coming on. You said you were too short, right? Out there, you're too short.
Correct.
Well, I just want us to start, scraping up. We don't want to leave any money on the table.
Well, Joe, I thought in the past, maybe I'm misremembering, but I thought in the past we had contracted out. I'm not suggesting that Althea's people do it, but we had contracted out to someone to do that, and they got a percentage, as I recall. That's how they got paid. They got a percentage of what they found. And that was then submitted to us, paid to us. Am I mistaken about that?
I wasn't here during that time. I'm not sure, but there are companies that go out and try to find lost revenue or revenue that's not being reported. There are companies out there, and we pay them a percentage.
And why don't we look into this? Is not an extra cost to us because it pays for itself.
Correct.
So why don't we, city manager? Why don't we look into the possibility of employing, subcontracting out to someone to do those kinds of audits at no cost to the city,
Based on commission.
but simply additional revenue?
Yeah, that's a good idea. And even before we do that, I don't think it hurts for us to maybe pick 3-4 times in a year to do a random. For instance, hey, it's Christmas time, holiday time. Let's check restaurant L and see what's going and do it and do a check there against the wholesale monthly wholesalers and what they told us. Or it's springtime, summer's here, and we got a new outfit opening up. Let's see if it jives together with the wholesalers report. I mean, just doesn't hurt to do a random spot check every now and then. It keeps them honest.
I got a question on 7,500 recreation fees. We actually got $508,000.
Yeah, remember Michelle said a lot of the, like the AAU basketball, they used to have their own organization. We've moved that all into the budget. So what you see reflects an increase in revenue, and we do show it on the expense side as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
So
you
that
expect
basically down-
670 this coming year?
We think it'll be a little bit more, based on what we've collected thus far, but
That's good. That's a good thing.
yes, sir.
But
Okay.
in terms of, just piggybacking on that, the expenses reflect that as well, so.
Exactly.
We're bringing more in, but we're spending more, so.
Yes.
Hey, Phil, do we still have that cell tower advisory outfit that puts up, the taxable items on the cell towers? I remember we had them for some years.
The gentleman passed away, as I recall.
Really?
Yes.
So, and I asked that question because, and I don't know where it would be on these lines or whatever have you, but, 5G's coming on board and coming along, and, they're popping up new doodads on them things possibly, and, we don't know what that thing, the new doodad may be a $200,000 piece of equipment, and that's taxable, but because we don't know what it is up there, we can't get our money, and that's why we hired that outfit in the first place. So just, again, you gotta look under every rock, right?
Yes, Joe, we do have line item, Councilman Carn, we do have line item 342504, cell tower rent. We do receive monthly cell tower rent revenue.
Okay.
A second tower just went online, so we are getting roughly about 2,500 a month currently,
Well,
or 2,600.
Good. Well, if you think it's worth us having so do we have an outfit that'll do an assessment, or do we just get one for one time only to take a look at our towers and see what's new up there, or whatever have you?
We, like I say, I think we used to, and the gentleman passed away, and I don't know that we've replaced that function.
Well, they're certainly ongoing, I'm sure,
Well,
replacing
you
it.
bring up a good point, because the conversion to 5G is going to be pouring out tons of equipment. It has poured out tons of equipment.
Right,
So it wouldn't hurt to do a review of some of these cell towers to find out what's been added that we haven't been told about, and that we should be collecting revenue for.
Do they have an
Right.
issue with the airplanes at all?
Well, I remember they closed down, the FAA had the issue where they were gonna not open up 5G within a 1 mile radius of the major airports.
Yeah.
And they stopped it for about a week, and then the administration let it go. They said it was safe, because they thought it would mess with the ILS systems and stuff. But I'm assuming they fixed that, but
Right.
even though the guy passed away, is his company still in existence? Could we go back to them, or did they close down shop after he passed away?
I think he was a individual business owner, but we do partner with TowerCom, and that's who I work with, and that's who we get the rents from for every new cellular company that goes up on the 2 towers that we have.
Okay, so it's been a few years since we've had a review of what's up there.
Correct, yes.
All right, well, let's do that, absolutely, because we don't know what's up there now.
Right, and I would add that even if they have shut off certain frequencies, there are 3 different bands for 5G. All those bands did not come into play with the ILS system. So even if they shut a band off, that doesn't mean that they pulled the equipment out of the tower. It could still be there. And I believe we don't care whether they're using the equipment or not. We care that it's capital investment sitting in that tower.
It's taxable property.
So if I have a Maserati in my garage, nobody cares whether I drive it or not. It's a Maserati, and I should get taxed on it, kind of thing.
That's right.
I don't have a Maserati in my garage, by the way.
Next.
Do we have additional questions on page 1?
No.
It's time to go home.
Okay, how about page 2? Or page 3? I'm hearing none. So, I think we're finished. It's 8:14.
Jump in your Maserati.
Amen to that. We are finished.
Madam Mayor, I just want to publicly thank my team, all of my department heads, my finance team, for the good spirit with which they helped to prepare and present this budget to our council. And I would really love for the council to give my team a round of applause,
Absolutely.
those who are there and are not.
And can I say just one thing? Althea, good information, good job. I've been away for a minute, and the only way I know if finance knows their stuff is when it comes around to this time, and you know your numbers. So you're the real deal. So